Healing for your home, the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. Rusty and Heather Bryant with you. Hey, thanks for listening this summer as we've been going through our Summer Shorts series where we've been answering some questions. Most of them have not been very short, but last week it was.
And this week it might be because of the topic.
It might be. It might be. But last week we did a rundown of like all of our resources.
Yep.
And we uploaded or put on our website a brand new resource that you can go at the very top of the redeemedmarriage.com. There is a banner. And it's a resource menu, and you click on that, and it gives you a PDF file that you can click on all the different links, and it'll show you everything that we do. And it'll give you information about marriage coaching, about our podcast. It'll give you more information about intensives and retreats and all of that. So go check it out if you haven't done that already. We had a great response to that. I think I told you, Heather, I don't know what happened, but our podcast blew up this week.
Which makes me laugh because it blew up and we did resources. I'm like, we do all these topics.
I don't really think it was just resources.
Sure.
I think it was once people found the resource, then they started downloading episodes
Well,
from
we get
the past.
an email when somebody requests something, and on Monday, I was at my bestie's house, and my phone was blowing up. I was like, cool. What is happening? And it was like, requested resource, requested. I was like, oh, yeah, the podcast.
Well, this is really neat, too. I texted you, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, it's just like just in that one day, there were so many downloads of our website. I mean, our podcast, and it kept doing that for the entire week. And I went back and looked for just this past week, and there were over 100 countries.
Gosh.
Over 100 different countries that downloaded our
crazy.
podcast this week. And
How many countries are there in the world?
I don't know, but it was 106 that had downloaded episodes.
106 countries. That's crazy.
In 1 week. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, hey, if you're new to us from whatever country that you're listening, thank you. And we're very honored.
Do you think it translates our podcast into another country, into another language?
I don't know, but I'm working on all 106 of those languages. So
to
I can start.
Them?
Yeah, I'm totally kidding.
I was like, what? To translate it? I was really confused.
Yeah, we're going to start doing it in lots of different languages. So I don't know. I don't know how they listen to it, but really cool. A lot of people know. A lot of people can understand English. So. Yeah. All right. So, cool. A difficult topic for today, but we'll tackle it and
Let's do it.
See what happens. We haven't talked about it at all, me and you.
We've only read the question.
Right.
That's it. You said, here are your choices of questions, and I picked one.
Yep.
Here we go. Certain sexual acts seem to be ruined for me now because of my infidelity. I don't know how to tell my spouse I don't enjoy certain things now because it can take me down a route of guilt during intimacy. And when I first read I'm going to be honest, when I first read the question, I thought it was from the other person's.
Are you just now realizing
no,
that?
No.
I was about to say, because this is yours to answer.
No, but actually, no, I didn't. The second time I read it, I was like, oh, that's from my perspective.
It's very different.
But I think that we should tackle it from both.
Well, we should, but when I read it, I kind of did a double take too, because believe it or not, I don't know that anybody's ever asked us that, because... And maybe we've talked about it just in general terms when we've done coaching and stuff, but it's usually the person that has been betrayed.
That's right.
That has, lots of just wounds and deep hurts and and this would certainly apply to them because it's like there's so many images and feelings that go along with it, and just the, I'm not good enough, and I mean, and we can talk through some of the details, but this was the flip. It was flipped.
Yeah.
So go.
Well,
I'll sit back and listen.
No,
I'm interested.
I mean, it is. It's fascinating to me that question came from my side, because honestly, when we worked through the sexual part of it, which was the last part to heal for us. And so that's very normal. But when we worked through that, I can remember I constantly was following your lead because I needed to, because you were the one that was betrayed. You were the one that was hurt. And so that's the first thing is I feel like you have to follow the betrayed, their lead. Because as the betrayer, you just want to be super sensitive to that. Also, just throwing this out there, there's going to be a very big difference between if the betrayer was female or if the betrayer was male. Because for me, and I've said this so many times on our podcast and in coaching, it never was about the sex. But for a man, that might be different because the sexual act is so important and how they feel connected. But for me, the connection was more the help me the word emotional. Thank you, the emotional connection. So when I read this the second time, I was like, oh, that's for me. And then my brain started wondering if it was a male or a female that sent in the question, which we don't know. But, I may not answer it correctly. I can answer it correctly for me, but it may be different for the listener that asked this. But I do know that there are women out there who have been the betrayer. And so I can answer it how the best that I can. So the first thing I thought about was for you, I felt very led to follow your lead in this, as I said before. And if we started being physical and you said stop, I stopped. If you cried, I cried with you. If you whatever the emotion was, I affirmed you in that emotion because that was my role. That was my role. I had broken trust in that area. I had, but we've said before, both of us were virgins when we got married. And so the fact that I messed that up, that we were only each other's, was real hard for you. And for sure. And not only that, but once I walked through redemption, it was really hard for me. Because I wanted that purity back. I wanted that, we had worked so hard as young people to keep that pure that I wanted that back. And there was nothing I could do to change that. And so there was some big hurts in that area for us. And so this question about it's specifically sexual acts, like not just being intimate, in general, but sexual acts. And so for me, we did such hard work in the area of our sexual relationship and asking God to redeem that and restore that. I remember for a very long time, well, specifically the first time, we were blaring worship music. It was almost like we were telling the enemy, you don't get to be in this room. And I can remember, just crying out to the Lord and saying, this is a gift from you. And I want it to feel like a gift to him and to me. And I don't want it to be anything different than a gift. And then I think that we also had to be really careful with what the world considered normal sexual activity. We've talked about before, and if you're interested in whether pornography is okay in your bedroom, whether, videos, all those things. We've even talked about sexual toys. Are those okay in the bedroom? Like all of these things. And I'll just go ahead and say, in case you don't go back, pornography is not okay to introduce into your into your marriage. And that can be through video. It can be through books you read, anything that gets your mind thinking about someone other than your spouse or something that your spouse doesn't like. Because it's, erotic to you or whatever is not okay to introduce into your marriage. But we've talked about like, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? And if you haven't already turned off your podcast. If children are in the car, please do that now. But we've talked about like some people are okay with oral sex, some people are not. Some people are okay with this, some people are not. And so you just have to find out what works for you and your spouse. And if you're both not comfortable with it, then it's not okay. All right. So we had those discussions after. It was like, what can God restore? What can God redeem? What are we comfortable with? How do we start? And then we would progress into other things as those things became comfortable. There is not a specific something that I was uncomfortable with because of my infidelity. I wanted you to be perfectly comfortable. And if you were comfortable with it, then I was okay with it. And if something came into my mind that it was like, oh, this may not be okay, I claimed it and was like, God, help me in this area. I talked to God a lot before, after, just, and I know that's, people are probably like, what? But I mean, I did. I constantly, and this is not just in the area of sex, but constantly asking God to restore and to redeem and to draw me to himself in all areas of my life. And the bedroom is no exception to that. But if there is something, like a specific something that really triggers you in that area, or I don't know if it triggers, in the question it said it triggers guilt and shame. And those are not from the Lord. Guilt and shame are not from the Lord. They can be an invitation from the Lord to draw you into doing that hard work with him and saying, why is this guilt and why is this shame? It's definitely can be an invitation, but it's never from him. And so in that area, you have work to do with the Lord surrounding those things. If it's something your spouse enjoys and they want to continue doing that and they want that part to be redeemed, you have work to do. But it's also okay to say, this is really hard for me right now, or can we revisit that later? It's okay to just be open with communication in that. I do think it's a little bit different if you are the one that has been betrayed in that area.
Well, I mean, your answer was unbelievably perfect, and I kind of don't want to go, and flip the script because the question was specific to what you just asked about. And maybe it's, I mean, I know there's people going, no, you talk too. But maybe we should do that another time. Maybe we save it for another podcast, because I really do kind of want to jump in and continue addressing what you're addressing, because I do have some thoughts from the betrayed side of things. And because I do think there's a whole nother layer of this onion to peel when you talk about how the betrayed spouse is affected.
Sure.
Just like what you just did and talked through, like I could talk through that as well. But to piggyback on what you're saying, and how do you address that, and you said it perfectly. You kind of you followed my lead. You were open to just what I was comfortable with in the moment. And as we grew and things changed, I think that was really important. Here's the thing that I think is probably a little bit dangerous in some ways, and I'm going to tread lightly here, because if there was a specific act, like this question came up, and you aren't comfortable, but it was something that I enjoyed and desired, and if you said to me, I don't want to do that, then it doesn't matter how wonderful and how godly and how incredible I am and how much healing and restoration, all that, the flesh goes, wait a second. Like that got robbed from me because of something you did with somebody else.
Right.
And that is really, really hard. It would be really hard for me to hear it that way. And so I'm not saying that it doesn't need to be done. And I don't want anybody out there to hear me say, oh, you just got to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there needs to be a real, like you said, prayerful, but I'm going to tell you how I think you can handle it.
Okay.
So I would not just approach it and be like, hey, I mean, even especially like the worst would be if you were being intimate and you stop because of it,
That's
you know?
right. That's
And-
right.
But I get it. I mean, and I want everybody to hear me say, I am very sensitive to your feelings as well now. But I think that the biggest part of this, how many times do we have to say communication is the key? But people don't talk, and we don't even as much as we should, but people don't talk in healthy ways about sex enough. And there's so many assumptions. There's so many unmet expectations. There's just so much pain and hurt. And it's the thing that we should probably talk about more than anything else. And people are so scared about it. So we have told you guys a million times, and people know this is not rocket science, but our desires and our physical needs and just our bodies, everything, it changes all throughout marriage. So, you know, the person that you are today is not the person that you were on our wedding night. And I mean, I don't know, you may say I'm the same. You may say I haven't changed at all. But there's
Your sex drive?
right.
You have not changed at all. At
but
all.
but not just that. There are things. I mean, as you grow and you mature, and then as you go through pain and stuff, you know, all those things, it just changes the way you view that. So what does that mean? Well, we should be talking about it more, because things that you liked or enjoyed, and it may change. Not for the good, not for the bad, just change.
It does.
It just changes.
Like, I'm not ashamed. Like, I'm 52 years old. Hormone things change. I mean, those change, not just your sex drive. Like, it changes things. And we have to communicate about that.
Yep.
And, okay, there.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
Yeah. So, and look, I mean, honestly, it seems like recently there's been a lot of marriage podcasts that I listen to, and even sermons that have been heavy on talking about physical intimacy. And so much of it talks about how even when you get into your 40s and 50s and 60s, it can be the best that it's been in your whole entire life. And so it's not like just the newlyweds are enjoying this. But and so much of that though is because you talk about it and you've discovered what you enjoy. And then, I mean, next year there may be something else that you just, hey, you know, why don't we try this or add this? And that's all incredible. There's so much freedom that God allows in the bedroom between a husband and wife. But where I'm going with that is, we have this resource that we use whenever we do our retreats. And you're laughing because I was about to say we have this tool, and people were like, wait a second, we're talking about sex. Let's not talk about tools right now.
Or we could.
We could. But we have this resource, and it's the Intimacy Trail Guide. Yeah. And it's a ton of questions. So you need to come to a retreat.
Yes.
Or maybe you can beg us and we'll send it. I don't know. We'll see. But that, I think, is so important that you revisit that from time to time.
Because you change.
Yes, because you change.
And you learn things about each other that make the answers different.
Yes. And if you can see where I'm going, I'm trying to tee it up for somebody to be able to have a conversation about something that they may not enjoy.
That's right.
Because what ends up happening is if you talk about it and there's a reason for talking about it. Look, I don't know who this person is, but I think communicating. Look, if Heather came to me and she said, hey, let's go through those sex questions again, I would drop everything I'm doing and sit down and go, let's do it. Let one at a time. We'll go through every one of them. But, and honestly, she probably would too if I just said, hey, I want to know like where we are now. Let's just go through it again. And so if you're asking this question, that may be a way to start this conversation, because you can go through these questions and something's going to come up where you have the opportunity to say, you know, that's something that that used to be a part of what we do. And,
I just don't enjoy that
I don't
as much anymore.
Yeah, but I like this,
instead.
And you're replacing it. And your spouse may come back and go, I don't know, though. That's just something that was really, really important and special. And if that's the case, then maybe you need to go do some hard work.
That's right.
But
That's
it
right.
might be one of those things where your spouse goes, oh, okay. And I'm not saying you're not lying to your spouse, but those are emotions
Because
that don't
that's
necessarily.
truth.
Yeah.
Like I don't enjoy this as much
Right.
as I did then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And even there's things between us, sexual acts that have nothing to do with infidelity whatsoever that we enjoy more or less than we did.
That's right.
And so it doesn't have to have that root.
Right.
And that's what I was going to say. Right before you started talking, I said that you have to communicate about that. You have to say, but it can be done in such a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you said it can be done is so powerful. But here's the thing. If there is still something and your spouse really enjoys it, it's important to them, it's not ethically, or not God honoring or whatever, and it's okay to do in the marriage bed, then you got work to do with the Lord, because you can't say God can redeem my marriage, God can restore my marriage, but he can't restore and redeem our marriage bed. That's a false statement.
Mm-hmm.
He can even, what he did on the cross covers even that. And sex is a gift from the Lord. He wants it to draw you closer to your spouse and to make you as one. And so he will heal that. He will heal even that.
Yeah.
But you got to do the hard work and with him and getting that done.
And that doesn't mean that things are not going to still come up from time to time that are
Sure.
going to, old wounds happen. And, there's just times when the enemy just starts reminding us of what happened. And if you let yourself go down that road, it can happen fast. And so that's why it's just so important. Physical intimacy is such an important part of marriage. And it doesn't have to be intercourse every time, but just the closeness and the connection of being physically intimate is such a crucial part of marriage. And so don't let the enemy rob that from you.
Don't let him take it.
So, hey, okay, so maybe next time.
Summer shorts, we did it. Summer shorts, we did it. Summer shorts, summer shorts. We did so good.
Yes,
It's less than 30 minutes.
So maybe we come back at some point and we kind of do the flip side of that. But
Maybe.
I think
we
honored that question
That's
and
right.
answered it. So, all right, you guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.